Hello, Imperial County. I'm Sky. So another Imperial Valley chat, and well, this is my understanding of the Imperial County. So if you've seen the previous video, you understand what I've explained, that the Imperial County is basically a bowl sitting within the mountains, and it just so happens that there's a body of water in there. There's also a lot of sand and a lot of just soil. Whatever little water and moisture comes along makes vegetation, and that's it. So whatever happens is, as long as water flows, like from the Colorado, into whatever space, and as long as the water's clean, it makes, an environment that, crops can be grown in. And because it's a warm environment, because what also ends up happening is that because of that body of water, all the air in the Imperial Valley develops this humidity. So it develops like a greenhouse effect. It becomes heavy. The mountains are about 4,000 feet up and higher, so maybe 5,000 to 6,000 feet, up in the air. Wind blowing over them from the mountains or from the ocean, it has all this moisture. It dumps a lot of that moisture in the mountains because of all the little valleys in there. By the time it reaches the Imperial Valley, it's all that air is cool and dry. So it's going to rise and float above the hot, moist air down the Imperial Valley. So I'm a little concerned about what's going on with the geothermal and all that steam being vented into the air. Not to mention the fact that with the cattle farms, if like, where is that water, that steam coming from? Is that water being pumped in, or is that water that's actually in the ground? Because if that's water actually in the ground, there's a potential that if that's groundwater, it's mixed with those cattle farms. And on top of that, the cattle farms produce methane. You can have methane siphoning. And I'm kind of curious, what if you move the cattle farms to those abandoned fields on the west side of the land? Since, I mean, it's the water, or how much water goes to the cattle farm as opposed to what goes to anything else. The other thing is that there are water pumps. There's a new one that was showcased on the Colbert Report. You just plug it in. As long as there's like enough of a little battery power source going into the thing, it cleans up water. So what if you had that thing hooked up to a pump and just a little hose line, whatever, and you take it out to up in one of these canyons, and so it's fresh water being pumped up into one of these little dry desert canyons, and so hey, what do you know? There's some vegetation that starts growing there. And as long as whatever things stay in place, that canyon will always have water feeding it, which will grow vegetation, which could potentially, I don't know, it's like the more green there is, the more moisture in the air, the more potential for actual rainfall, but who knows, we'll see. But the biggest thing is that all the traffic going through the Imperial Valley. The Imperial Valley is based on an old 1950s, 1940s concept. Because when you think about it, yeah, whenever, or like what really made the Imperial Valley was when the 10 went in through Coachella, connecting to Las Vegas, and then the 8 came through from San Diego connecting to Yuma, and then Tucson and Phoenix. It just so happened that that was just like a narrow point, and there just happened also that, hey, oh, coincidentally, because it's all fertile land, there's going to be also a point there for Mexico to develop a community. So 3 different communities in 3 different valleys: Mexicali, Imperial, Coachella. Now, so the people living there for all these years and years have been farming. They've had Colorado providing water and developing them. Now they, for whatever reasons, there's different communities that develop, and really it's those communities develop because of farming. You needed a central location to deposit your harvest and to take care of your machinery. So because of the speed limits changing from 55, now the collection happens at these other locations, which happen outside of the cities. So places like Nyland and Bombay Beach and Salton City and stuff like that, and Westmoreland even, and Calapan, they're just kind of like drying up. They're it's really hard for them to justify existing in the location. So conceivably, you know, what I think may need to happen is that we have to, shift some of these communities, create hybrids. Uh, it's basically, just to satisfy, take care of the local population, and that's to ensure that, the economics, work out as well. But that's like a long-term thing. Right now, we got to take care of what's happening now. Right now, there's all this air pollution going in, so we need to figure out what's happening to the Imperial Valley. What do we want to have happen? I have a crazy notion like, hey, what if we just ban tractor trailers, semi trucks from driving through the Imperial Valley? Everything has to be done by rail, and it's just a crazy idea. But hey, I would go to the state senate and say it. I would go in front of the county and say it. If if people took me seriously about it, but but seriously, we need to clean up the air because one of the things that's happening is that people don't want to live here. Money doesn't want to come here, and people need to have an opportunity to leave, or to leave this place. So that's why I'm also supporting the idea that we need to encourage that businesses start hiring high school kids. Just create a simple thing like a student organized and run, teacher overseen after school program where high school kids just say like, look, I need money to go to college, or I just need to make some money. They work through this program as long as they're good, cheeky kids. Their grades stay well or stay up there. Hey, yeah, they can participate. So because like say potentially 20 kids participate in this program, and 20 go off to college somewhere. So all right, out of that 20, let's say 5 become successful, stay and live elsewhere. 5, they don't really become successful, but they stay and live elsewhere. 5, they get their education, but they return home. 5 fail, return home. So out of a generation of kids, half of them leave. Takes care of the population and unemployment problem. Now the other, so the half that returns, at least they've been to college. And so, the kids that don't make it, well, they can do something. The kids that do make it, hey, we need higher educated people in the county. Um, the thing is, also, we need to think about, all right, how do people get from the 10 down to the 8, and down to Mexicali? So we really just got to think about, okay, we have to make a lane, something that streamlines right through the Imperial Valley. And I think part of the way you can do that is through El Centro changing a couple different things. One is make it like Banning with just all the land right along the freeway, commercial, businesses. All the 24-hour businesses on the outside, or facing the city, or I mean facing the freeway. So that way they can clean up the trash and take the noise, and they're always lit, so, but why not? I mean, God, why hasn't that been done, till now? Or why has nobody thought of that? And then for Imperial, make it into a freeway extension. Connect it up, have it continue through Imperial. We may need to like move the airport somewhere else. Maybe move it out into where the brush is, like on the way to Yuma, because then that would that brush will help absorb some of the wind, which airports don't need wind. Right on the runways. So that's really hard for them. That could create other problems. But anyways, I really think that, look, we can even take in this casino, we can take in a lot of things, and we can make and change the Imperial Valley into a better, beautiful place. And then, hey, it becomes a retirement community. So old people come here and die and give us their money. So, hey.